Hello, my name is Michael Young. I'm a student at Concordia University. This video is in conjunction to an assignment for a class by the title of EDGR 535, Theories of Teaching and Learning. This video is dealing with debunking neuroscience myths. Is it science or is it pseudoscience? It will be referencing two papers. One written by Tomlin. There are actually two Tomlin references in the reference page that is posted to Blackboard. There's a Tomlin 2012, November 23rd, and a Tomlin 2012, November 16th. The November 16th reference is her online test, which I recommend you go take. I took it and made an 84%. I didn't do as bad as the teachers that they had tested in her paper, Tomlin 2012, November 23rd, where 50% of the 242 teachers that they gave the test to in England and the Netherlands, 50% of them missed 7 of the 15. They bought into 7 of the myths. Now, there were 32 questions and approximately 15 to 16 myths. We will go through the myths here momentarily, but that's two of the papers written by the same author. The test it was an interesting test. I don't think I would have done as well had I not finished Carey's book. That's the reference in the reference section of Carey 2014. It is Benedict Carey, How We Learn, and it was a good book. Certainly written for us non-psychology people. Now let's go back to Tomlin's myths. The other paper, which we'll get to in a minute, but we're going to talk about the other paper right now. It's written by Hook and Ferrara. It will be Hook Ferrara 212, and it's in the reference section with the PDF retrieval link that you can go get if you so desire. They open that abstract with what can neuroscience offer to educators. And they actually conclude that paper. Well, it opens with the following. Among the ethical issues raised in connection with the field of neuroeducation is teachers' vulnerability to misinformation concerning neuroscience and its relevance to classroom practice. Their concern is the same concern that Ms. Tomlin has, in that there's a lot of pseudoscience, junk science floating around that tend to drag in teachers who really want a good tool to deal with the neuroscience with their students. And who wouldn't? I mean, we're all in the educational arena, the educational environment to better our world and to certainly give the best product to our students. So, let's go back to Tomlin. She has a total of 32 questions on her test, and there are approximately 16 myths. And of the myths, of the 16 myths that the 50% of the educators chose, 80% got this one. Differences in hemispheric dominance, left brain, right brain, can help explain individual differences among learners. Well, that's false. 80% of those, 50% believe that. The other one that the 80% of the 50% is individuals learn better when they receive information in their preferred learning style. Auditory, visual, or kinesthetic. That's also false. Short bouts of coordination exercises can improve integration of left and right hemispheric brain functions. That's also false. But those three, 80% of those 50% of those 242 teachers absolutely adamantly believed those WK3 myths. And in her link of the November 16th date of that blog, there is a place to look at what people state how they feel the test went for them. And some of them absolutely are holding to what Ms. Tomlin says is a myth. The interesting thing about the neuroscience is allegedly it's relatively new, although I don't believe it's new. I mean, neuroscience has been around. Just because we didn't call it neuroscience didn't mean it wasn't there. We had psychology in the beginning. Carey explains this in Carey 2014. It's a not only is it a neuroscience foundation book and a psychology book and a psychosocial stream of tools, theories to help us get our head around learning. It's also a history of how it evolved, starting at Freud, going through Jung, that would be J-U-N-G, not me, Carl Jung. Then Erickson picks it up in the 50s, and Erickson gives us the 8 stages of development. That's also in the reference section that's on Blackboard. And these are all tools. They're all tools, and I personally can't draw a hard line between neuroscience and psychology and psychosociology. The brain is the hardware, so we want to call that the neuroscience, and then the psychology and psychosociology is the software, the operating system and the software of how the hardware of the brain functions. Then that's fine. I don't have a problem with that personally. We know that all the minds are different, and we can't really see a mind. We can see the results of a mind, but we can't really see a mind. We can see the brain. So all of these theories are tools to me, and it should not bother us to look at them as tools. I mean, this is a Phillips head screwdriver. And this is a flat-bladed screwdriver. They both operate different kinds of screws. They're for different jobs. This is a hammer. I certainly would not take a hammer and try to install a screw with it. That would be a very disastrous thing. It's a different tool for a different job. I certainly wouldn't take a thimble micrometer and try to do the same kind of measuring that I would with an outside diameter micrometer. These are very precise measuring tools to 1/10,000th of an inch. They're for a very specific task. And not one size tool fits them all. They just don't. So, how should we view this neuroscience, psychology, socioscience? Is it the holy grail? No, it's not. And of course, we as educators are looking for the magic pill to cover everything. We got 30 students in a class maybe. We have a set of outcomes, but yet we have 30 different individuals. They're all wired differently. So how do we wrap our learning model around all those individual brains? We certainly can't take a brain and force it into a learning module. We know that doesn't work. It doesn't work for us. When would we expect it to work for our students? So I think if we look at all these theorems and all these neuroscience things that they have to offer, that if we continue the conversation with ethics, the ability to accept, not critique, but accept with a critical eye, to differentiate between junk science and something that someone's trying to sell us. I will close with a statement that I made in the paper. We're running up on 10 minutes, it looks like, and Mark Twain did say a terrible death is to be talked to death, so I will try to alleviate that pain. I conclude that this neuro-educational conversation can continue with a positive outcome if educators, psychologists, and sociologists and neuroscientists approach the subject with a critical acceptance on what is scientifically sound and what is not. And we have the ethics, the ethical character to call junk science exactly what it is, junk science, and false. I also further state that if the fields of psychology, psychosociology, neuroscience, and education continue to engage in a mutual conversation, we will continue to develop soundly based learning tools to enable us, the educators, to wrap the learning around all these diverse minds we encounter in our teaching environments. Everything's neuro. I mean, I have a conversation with another human being. It's a neuro conversation. I mean, I'm dealing with their brain. I'm not talking to their toe. I'm not educating their toe. Of course, it's neuroeducation. I'm trying to educate the mind in thinking about mathematics, in my particular case, that deal with machining. So, of course, it's all neuro. I don't think it's something really new. I just think it's a more refined conversation, perhaps. And who knows, if we as a community can continue this conversation with ethics and acceptance, who knows where it'll lead. Maybe there will be certain teachers that are our neuro specialists. And I don't know. Well, I thank you for this time. And we're running up, it looks like 11 minutes. Wow. I apologize for going over the 5 minutes, but I will close with this, stating that it's all education. And I thank you.